That's a long story how I got started. Many years ago, I worked for the Idaho Falls Transfer. Worked for them for 10 years. And I always got the job of unloading carloads of coal. I asked the boss why, and he said, because you do it faster than anybody else, Bish. I made up my mind right then that there was an easier way to make a living than shoveling coal. That's how I quit. I made up my mind that if my dad could make a living trading horses, I damn sure could too. Even when I went to school, I always thought I could be just about as good or do anything about as good as anybody could, and I made up my mind that I could doggone sure make a living if anybody else could make a living without working for somebody. That's how it started. I guess you'd have to say a man with not very much education, just guts and dumb. We lived right here in Idaho Falls. I worked for the Idaho Falls Transfer. When I quit them, I got to trading horses, made a little money, built us a real nice little home in town. Can you believe a 5-room modern house cost $2,500? Then I came out. The man that owned this place is the man that named me Bish. I came out here, he had died, and I came out to talk to his widow about renting this place. She said, Bish, I can't rent you the place, but I'm going to see that you buy it. So I moved my poor little wife out of that brand new house out here to this house that had no water in it. Just one of those pumps. And I'll tell you, it was I guess you'd call it a shack today. It was during the war, and machinery was hard to buy, so I'd stand in that auction and buy all the horses that I could buy and bring out here and put them to work and trade them off during the week, and Lucy delivered them. But I kept working the horses, and I had one trait that I've never seen the horse yet that I couldn't work or do something with. Well, in those days, there was lots of horses. We used to have a horse sale in town every week, and there was 400 to 500 head of horses go through that sale. And I bought all the horses that the farmers brought in that they couldn't work. Not all of them, but most of them. I brought them out here, and I put this crop in 4 or 5 times with harrows, working horses in the field. And like I said, the machinery was hard to get, so the men that were trying to farm with and get machinery couldn't get it, so they went back to the old horse machinery. Well, my dad taught me the values of being a good horse trader. You never had to lie to a man to trade horses with him. When that man came and needed a good horse to work, you doggone sure tried to see that you gave him a horse that he could work. You could make money. Your horses in the auction cost so much money. You could always trade horses and make money, because the man that had the horse he needed to trade off damn sure couldn't use him. The things haven't changed a hell of a lot. We've tried to run this place on the deal that if your word was good, if you bought something out here and it wasn't any good, bring it back. In this store, if anybody brings anything back in there, there's no question about it. They can have their money back or what have you, as long as it's a reasonable deal. I can tell you a little story. A lady came out and shoplifted a few boots, a few pairs, and then she called me up with a sob story that she'd like to bring a pair of those boots back. Her husband had died. And so I said, fine, bring them back. She said, I haven't got any receipt. That's fine. About 6 weeks, she called me again. And I said, lady, one time's enough. It was all horses then, no cattle. I didn't have money enough to to buy any cattle and didn't have any idea of what I'd do with any cattle. But when we were just getting settled out here on this place, an old cattle trader named Ed Butts came out and said, "Bish, I believe we can make some money if you want to feed some cattle." He was a man that kind of did things right now. I told him, okay, I didn't have any money, and he said, "I got the money if you'll do the work." So that's the way we got into the cattle business. That night he had 5 truckloads of cattle out here, and Lucy and I run cattle all night long because we didn't have any corrals. But that'll kind of tempt you to build a few corrals. So she designed and built that house all by herself, right around the old house. Well, as the boys grew up, I saw lots of very successful men that always took the lead, never gave their boys a chance to get into business. One very prominent man here in town died. His boy was like a wild man, buying cattle and doing everything that his dad had never let him do. And I made up my mind that those boys better start making their mistakes while I was alive, while I could help them, while I could tell them what to do. I never told them not to do it. But after they'd done it, if it wasn't right, well, then we'd talk it over and try to straighten it out. But that's success of any family, is to live together and let your kids make money along with you making money. That's been the success of keeping these families here. As you know now, we have 3 families, 2 grandsons and my son that live right here within a half a mile. And they're all very successful. Yes, you have to feel good. I put this in with cooperation many years back, right when I first started out. Gave each one of the boys an equal share. So it was their part to work and make this thing successful. They were interested in making it successful. I tried to send Tim to school. Tim went down to Logan, came back home, and said, "Dad, I want to do what you're doing." I said, "Tim, there's no freebies. You'll get your diploma someday. You'll either be in horse trading, cattle trading, or some trading, but if you're successful, you'll get a diploma." And each one of the boys have earned their diploma. I haven't been easy on them, but I haven't stopped them from doing the things they wanted to do. The big benefit is they can have confidence in what they buy. They've got to have confidence in us and what we're doing. And I think anyone looks around and sees a very successful family, it sure helps you in business. Well, the values have never changed. I was raised, my dad, and through the old horse trading days, if a man's word wasn't any good, he was almost, the traders just didn't have anything to do with it. They were banned. And another thing that I have to bring up, in my day, when I was growing up, a man that took bankruptcy, he was disgraced forever. It just wasn't the thing to do. My dad ran the livery stable here in Idaho Falls, the first and only one for many years. And the old horse traders used to come in there, and I learned a lot of their tricks, good ones and bad ones, sitting around listening to them. But most of the old horse traders had a lot of value. If they told you something, they damn sure would do it. My whole credit, my whole life almost has been built on that kind of a deal. Minnie Hitt, my first banker, I did more business with her over the phone, and because my word was good, than you could do today if you signed all the notes in the world. the government wouldn't let you do it. They don't believe in that. Floyd Skelton, that ran the Idaho livestock auction, was a very good friend of mine. And Mr. Mickelson ran the bank, the old First Bank of Commerce out of Rexburg. They got involved and decided that they would build this bank here. And I kind of pressured myself into getting involved with them. I doggone sure wanted to be aggressive in it, but find out what I could about it. And it was a very interesting deal to get the charter. In that day, it was a hell of a lot harder to get a charter than it is today for a bank. But we got the charter and started the thing rolling. And we had some problems because Mr. Mickelson died. Steve Mickle was his name, not Mickelson. Steve Mickle's father was another great banker like many hit. New man and new value. And he helped us get it started. But Mr. Mickle died and Steve came down. He was the president of the bank here. But the bank just wasn't very successful because they had the old original bank in Rexburg. And of course, they kind of took care of that first. But later on, Steve moved back up to Rexburg, and we took the name of the Bank of Commerce, and they took their bank's name up there. And the Bank of Commerce has been very, very successful. Been about 36 years, I think, right around that since we started. And I've been on the board for 35 years. Well, of course, the boys and I all love to talk to people, love to live with people, love to understand people. We have a world of people that come here maybe just to talk. Not to buy anything, but just to talk. People that I've traded with for a long, long time, 50 years or more. And I'm still trading with them. So people like to, regardless of what the trend is in business today, people love to be able to come and talk to somebody that they can trust. I think that trust kind of develops among people. Every customer that comes in here is the number one. Very valuable. All of our employees here at the shop, down to the Taylor deal, that customer is his boss. He's the man that knows. He's the man that came in here to talk to them. They should know what they're selling him. But he knows what he wants. So we want to agree with him and treat him like he does know what he wants and try to help him get what he wants. Well, I'll tell you a little experience of that. I was on an airplane coming back from Los Angeles. And one of the fellows up front knew me, hollered at me and called me Bish. And the man sitting next to me stood up and he said, "Are you Bish Jenkins?" "Yes." He said, "You know, my dad lives in Virginia, but he stopped into your shop one time." And he said, "He told me if I was going to Idaho Falls, that the first place I wanted to go would be the Bishes. If I wanted to find out what was going on in the county and what." So maybe that has something to do with it. Well, I think the bottom line is trust. I think that you have to be, your word has to be good. If your word isn't any good, then there isn't anything else left. That's all there is to it. It really is. And if your word isn't any good, people can't trust you. It gets around pretty fast. It gets around, I believe, about as fast as the bad deals. The bad deals get around just about as fast, maybe a little faster than the good deals. If their wife comes in here and buys a pair of boots or a shirt or what have you, and he doesn't like it when he gets home and he brings it back, he's got no problems. He just gets his money back and then tells his wife he lost them. In running a place like this, They're not boats or trailers. All factories have seconds, and you can buy them cheaper, and you can sell them to people. But eventually the people are going to find out that they bought it second. They bought it cheaper. Everybody's value-minded. Everybody wants to buy anything that they're buying as cheap as they possibly can, but they still want the value there when they get home and show it to their neighbors. So, really, if you're going to be in business, I think it's a big part of the business to try to show people what they're getting. We trade for trailers all the time out here. I used to trade for horses that people couldn't use. And I've had people come in and say, I want that horse. Well, fine, if you want it, but you better make up your mind. You better know what you're buying, because I don't believe you can use it. So the main thing is to tell the people what they're buying, so that they can depend on it. When they show it to their neighbor, and they're real proud of it, he isn't going to say, well, look under here. You bought a second. At Bish's, I've always had the idea and told the boys have told the people that are working for them, that when they buy something here, they're going to get value for their money. We're going to make money, and we want to make money. And I want them, and people understand. You can tell them you're making money. They don't mind that if they get something that they use and that they're proud of. At Bish's, we want you to know that when you buy something, you can bring it back if you're not satisfied. Our employees are all instructed and know that we want to assume that the customer is always right. Sometimes they're not, and we can explain and send them out of here with a big smile on their face. Well, at Bish's, we try to make the customer understand that we're in business to make money. They want value for their money. We want them to have value for their money. And we want to try to make them feel good about what they've bought. So there's a medium there that we all have to agree on, but we want everybody happy. Is that all right? What the hell? You can chop it off wherever you want it. Well, a year or so ago, they were out there tearing those trails down, and if you ever seen an old man stand out there with tears running down his cheeks, that's how I feel. I didn't think I'd ever see this ranch without horses and cattle on it. Horses have been real good to me, and so has the cattle business. Helped us make money. And it's a big change. But I think anybody today that is going to be successful have got to change, and for doggone sure, if you've got young people around you, you better change with them. I think the big success of our whole operation has been that I let these boys go ahead with their own ideas. We talk it over. We have our meetings every week. Yet, I feel like I'm still involved. I'm not, but I am. So, how do you explain that? But this business that the young one, Ty, is in, Dr. Tech, a completely new business, and I don't understand the whole deal about it, but it's big. Some of the biggest banks in the United States are faxing him docs to do. And it's over my head, but I still understand. I want them to be successful. When I first bought this ranch, my dad was a conservative old boy, and he'd been broke a few times, and he made a special trip out here to tell me what a damn fool I was. This whole ranch in that day cost $18,000. That's quite a lot less than my new car cost. So it's been a very interesting deal to see the whole deal. The boys come out, the boys get their ideas. It's a wonderful, wonderful world if you work with them. Well, like I said, our operation with the cattle, with the horses, our cattle feeding deal was very successful. Our horse deal was double successful. We made lots of money off the horses and the cattle, good money, and it's a little bit hard to get my age and see everything change. But if you're going to be successful and you're going to let these young guys be successful, you've got to go along with the times. You've got to let them make the changes. And they have been very successful at it. That's what makes my life, as you get older, lots easier to live, because they still come in here and talk these things over with me. I'm still involved in them. Yeah, here at Bish's today, you can buy about anything you need. Any kind of clothes, saddles, horse equipment. You can go down there and buy a nice motorboat, nice trailer house. If you've got a loan that you want to make and you want to have it figured out, the interest and the whole deal, go down to Ty and he'll run it through his Doctor-Tech deal and show you what you're doing. So that's what I would say is quite a diversified business. That has made this thing successful because it has been diversified. My banking experience on that loan committee for 35 years has been a real education. If you don't believe it, try it sometime. But it's interesting. I still have another grandson or two growing up. I have a grandson that's a CPA out of Portland with Arthur Young and Company that kind of interested in the deal, kind of like to come back out here. Worked for us when he was young, and he still gives me credit for teaching him how to work. But he's very successful. He's another workaholic. So I have no idea where this business is going, what it will be in 20 years from now. It will just progress the way it is, go ahead the way they are, everybody get along. I think maybe I'm the luckiest man in the world. If every man in this country could get to be my age and have a family like I have, something to look at, not to worry about, it'd be a hell of a good world. I really want to see this business progress. I want to see these boys successful. I hope I can live long enough to see all of their ventures that they have started out here today. Tim has a golf course project up there. Tad has a boat deal, trailer deal. Ty has his Doctor-Tech, which is in the progress of growing. If I can see all of those come to a head, and see, it'd be interesting for me, if I'm lucky enough to be here long enough, to see all of those things successful. And if I can live long enough to see this whole deal not owe anybody a dollar. You know, the success of business today, and of young people, is to be able to get enough money to go into business or to do new deals, and it isn't easy to do it. So, one of my big ambitions today is to see all of that happen. And it will happen. I know it will happen. One more comment. I don't believe there's very many men 83 years old that can say that they go to bed and they're so interested in their businesses that they can't hardly wait till morning. I don't lay awake nights worrying about anything. I'm not a worrier. I just want to see everything successful. The first thing you want to buy and make up your mind is confidence. If you haven't got confidence in this place, then maybe you're better off if we don't sell you anything. But we want you, when you walk out of here, to be satisfied and feel like that you've done what you'd like to do and really happy about it. If you come in here to the shop, you can buy anything you want in a clothing deal, and some of it isn't Western. Ladies' wear has got to be a big deal in the shop here. If you want to go down and buy a boat, we have a boat mechanic here. We have a trailer mechanic here, so that we know that those things are in top-notch shape when you take them out, and you'll have a place to bring them back if you want them. Bring them back and get them serviced or taken care of. We don't do any automobile repair or anything like that out here yet. I guess I'm about going to have to quit it, but I've always, very many people around the valley, when they want a horse, the right kind of a horse, they call me, tell me what they want, or I've dealt with them enough that I know what they want. And that's a technicality today that is almost gone, because good horses are hard to find. I hate to keep coming back to the horse deal, but it's been a wonderful, wonderful deal to me. And people still call me and tell me what kind of a horse they want. And I will eventually find it for them. So that's been a great deal, too. To be a good businessman, the first thing you've got to be is have confidence enough to be a salesman. A good salesman has all the confidence in the world in himself, and he still doesn't try to oversell people. So if you want to buy something, these boys will try to sell you what you want. They're not going to try to sell you something they don't want. Dad was on a mission. He called me up one night. He said, "Bish, I'm ready to come home. I've had doors slammed in my face all day long." I said, "Dad, you hang in there, because when you get home, you'll be the best salesman in the world. If you can sell religion to people that don't want it, you can damn sure sell anything else." Maybe you don't want that in there, but it's the truth. One thing we haven't talked about is my wife. My wife and I have been married for 62 years. And she's still the most important thing I have. She is the bottom line of the success of this family. She is the one that has really brought the family along, and whenever there's any problems, Lucy will straighten them out. We completely remodeled that old house a little bit at a time. As we got the money, we remodeled it. As we paid for it, she designed it. And I think it's about as comfortable a home as there is in the country. Kids all love to come home. But it's like that barn there. It's built right around the whole deal. It's like I told you, the boys sawed the roof off, changed the whole deal. Tim's got a nice new home over there, but it's not any better than the home we have. But in the old days there, you did things as you could pay for them. Many, many people just say a saddle's a saddle. But our big thing here has been show them a saddle. Take it out, put it on a horse, let them ride it, and see whether they like it or not. If they like the saddle, fine. If they don't like it, we'll bring them back in here and get them one they do like. But most of the people, especially people that don't know, if they listen, you can show them the kind of saddle they should buy. The hardest person in the world is the person that knows everything and doesn't know anything and wants to, So you just let them kind of lead themselves. Well, we have men that understand how a saddle should set on a horse, how you should set in a saddle. We turn the stirrup so that you're not fighting out all your life, reaching down, trying to get your foot in the stirrup. There are a few little things that go with buying a saddle that's very, very important. We have one of the best saddle makers right here that he doesn't work for us, he's on his own, but he makes a saddle that anybody that wants a handmade saddle can be very proud of. If you buy a trailer and start down the road and the wheel comes off, you know damn well where to bring it. But all of these trailers are, they're gone over by our mechanic. We have a top-notch mechanic. The wheels are repacked. Every little detail is we try to take care of all of that before you go with the trailer. But if you have any problems, bring it back. If you want to buy a trailer, yes, we have the boys down there know whether your car can pull that trailer. They know they're not going to sell you a trailer, a big trailer that you go out and you can't manipulate it. You haven't got car enough. You haven't got truck enough. They'll try to fit you with a trailer that your car or truck can pull. We can also advise you on what kind of a horse trailer you want to buy. You want to buy one that's tall enough for your horse to stand in, one that's wide enough to put 2 horses in or 4 horses, one that you're not going to have lots of problems with when you get home. So I think maybe if you come to Bish to buy a trailer, you can doggone sure feel that you're satisfied when you leave. Well, when you start talking, when you come into Bish's, no matter what you want to buy, we want you to have the confidence in us that you can buy whatever we've got here to sell you, and you're going to feel good about it when you go home. If you don't feel good about it, bring it back. If we don't know that you're not dissatisfied, we can't help you. If we know, we can doggone sure help you. Well, I think the big success of Bish's has been to try to sell people whatever they can use and what they want and value so that they feel good about what they've bought. In our horse deal, the horse deal is the hardest today, the hardest business in the world is to keep satisfied people. That's one of the reasons why we're quitting it. Because horses are not broke like they used to be. People are not the good horsemen like they used to be. They get home, they ride it for a day or two, decide that it's not for them. It bucks them off, so they got problems. So horse deal is more a problem today than anything we have, and so therefore we are going to discontinue our horse deal. The horses are not available that we need, the good horses. Our business here at Bish's is very diversified. We've had every kind of a business that you can possibly think of almost, but we still want, the bottom line is to satisfy the customer, to try to give them something that they can use and they are satisfied with. How's that? Well, when you drive into Bish's, you generally know what you want. You don't have to walk all over to find it. If we can help you find it, we'll do it. But when you leave Bish's, if we've got it and you like it, you're going to own it. Well, if you come in here and buy a real expensive horse trailer or a travel trailer, we'd kind of like to have you know that we want you satisfied. We want you to enjoy the piece of equipment that you bought. If you buy a travel trailer, think of your wife when you buy it. Buy it so she'll be comfortable in it, so she'll love it. Many years back, I used to give each one of my customers a butcher knife to give to his wife. Very few people ever give anything to a customer to give to their wife. And lots of people said, well, what the hell, if I'm not satisfied, she might use this. But I never had any of them use it. If you come in to buy a pair of boots, or a western shirt, or a hat, going 2 hats, this is the only place that I believe in town. I don't think there's any other place that you can bring your hat back as long as you own it, get it spotted, straightened out, steamed a little, cleaned up. The hat that I have on is maybe 5 years old. They just cleaned it. We don't clean your shirt, but we've got a good laundry that you can send it to. But if there's something wrong with it, we'll give you your money back for it, gladly. Boots the same way. If you take a pair of boots and wade in the manure with them for 6 months, we don't expect to take them back, but we'll sure try to sell you another pair that'll last you long enough so that you'll enjoy them. That's right. And don't worry, I've had them do it.